Otherwise, I can make you co-host.
Okay, no worries. Thanks again. Can everybody hear me? Like, how's the sound? Okay, yes. Great. So thanks. Actually, thanks for the invite. It's a pleasure actually to meet actually the university again. And I always look back on a great actually study which I did at Tilburg University. So it's good to be back and to talk actually with the current students. And in my opinion, it's always good to actually keep in touch actually with the university, but also actually to get in touch with students. We also in the company I work at, like the company I have, we always work together with students to get new ideas, to get fresh ideas, and to get actually the connection and stay in touch. So having said that, I just want to do a brief introduction about me and about the company. I don't want to make that like such a big story about it, because in my opinion, it's better to have a discussion with the people and also to answer your questions. So I want to keep it brief. But about me, I actually studied international business administration at Tilburg University. I commenced my studies in 2012. I did an exchange semester at the University of Melbourne in 2014 and 15. And actually, during my studies already founded the company, SB Supply, which is an e-commerce player, which is engaged in the online sales of accessories, gadgets, and gaming products across Europe. I started actually in the garage of my parents. And nowadays actually expanded the company to some other countries. So now we are active here in the Netherlands, Germany, France, Belgium, and Austria. And we have, I think, about 6 nationalities now in the company. So we are quite multinational. And most of our revenues are coming from abroad now. So as said, we are e-commerce player, so we deal with our own web shops, but we also deal with marketplaces such as Amazon or Bol.com or other retailers. And actually, during the Corona crisis, we also actually changed or we reinvented a kind of our business model again. Because actually a crisis is can bring you actually opportunities as well. We started actually in gaming, and now we are developing a new gaming brand as well, which is actually a result of the loss of like the current Corona crisis, and also actually because we saw that there was a growing demand in gaming. Having said that, so I don't know if I need to tell more, explain more, but maybe that can be done during discussion as well. For the people who are actually watching this Zoom session, I would like to ask them. Feel free to ask me the questions. I'm more than happy to answer them. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Did I cover everything, or?
For now, I think this was a good introduction, and then we have some questions for you later. So, and cool. Like I said before, if any of you have any questions in between, just ask them. So thank you, Sander, for this introduction. Then I would like to give the word to Bas to introduce himself. Welcome, Bas.
Great. Can you all hear me? I don't know if my AirPods with me, so I'm just trying to do it like this. But very nice. Thanks again. As Sander said, very nice to be here and to hopefully give you guys some more insights on what you do after your studies. As said, I don't want to have a very commercial talk or something. Just more about, I think, the things that we're doing, what we have done, and hopefully answer a lot of your questions. Myself, I'm totally not coming from Brabant. I always lived and grew up in the middle of the Netherlands, and came to Brabant for my studies. Started in 2015 at business economics at the Tilburg University. Founded my first company in 2017. Second one in 2018, and HelloLex, current one in 2019. So quite a journey it has been the last couple of years. At Lex, we're focusing right now we're aiming at making starter companies, small companies, legally healthy in order to prevent unwanted situations. So more on the legal side of all the entrepreneurial aspects and entrepreneurial challenges. We started actually in October 2019. Currently with a team of 10 people. And still the hiring hiring button. Yeah, we're currently looking for a CTO, so that's why. Folks that are started in October 2019. So our first full financial year was 2020, of course, with the whole COVID-19 year. And as Sander said, like resilience was the most important part last year. So we came up with some new ideas, of course, but I don't know if you can say if it's new if you're just that young. But no, that's where we started. As I said, I also did an exchange in Texas 2018. So put everything on the side for half a year, but had a great time. And I don't know if you guys already did something like that, but I could highly recommend you to do so. And which is actually funny because Sander and I both have our offices at the campus still in Intermezzo building. And I got to know Sander like some years ago, I think 5 years ago, I think. And we started last year, we started a company together just because we just are good friends right now. And we thought, all right, why not do it together? So we started something together and we're renting out subs like for their surfboards in the haven in Tilburg, just for fun and on the side. So yeah, we did quite some things, and I'm more too happy to talk about it and to answer some of the questions.
Okay, well, thank you. That was a great introduction, Bas. I think you both are really good examples of how to be entrepreneurs, and that's maybe also the first question. How did you know, and maybe start with you, Bas, how did you know that you want to start your own business, and how did you go about it?
Well, there's always a question, all right, did you always want to be an entrepreneur or something like that? I'm not quite a big fan of the word entrepreneur because nowadays everyone that's selling, for instance, just easy things on bol.com or doing some lectures on entrepreneurship or whatsoever is an entrepreneur. So I'm not quite a big fan of the word anymore, but never started with, or I really want to be an entrepreneur, but just because some of the things that followed, I started doing a board year at the Academic Business Club in 2016. And at the Academic Business Club, we really guide some student entrepreneurs during their first phases. So that's what I did. And during that year, I really encountered some same struggles from those student entrepreneurs. And I thought, all right, maybe I can start my own company doing something like that. So I started a company, VMAP, Verbs Mediation for Business, in which we advised corporates about innovation possibilities through collaboration with startups. So we were like of a matchmaking between startups and corporates, because I had the network of the startups, right, for the student entrepreneurs, and the corporates from my network, my own network. But it just followed through on each other. And HoloLex, actually, it's quite a nice story because I founded HoloLex having no legal background just because I encountered legal issues myself with my previous two companies. So that's how it rolled, actually. Yeah.
And maybe a question to follow that, because you started your first company in 2016, I believe you said.
17, yeah.
And in the meantime, you are now in your third company or fourth company. I don't know exactly, but why did you stop with the other?
Well, the first one is still like active, but it's just more of a that's an eenmanszaak. So it's just easy to do some kind of projects nowadays, or just on the side or whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Just because it's easy. Second one, the investment fund, I stopped after 1.5 years because it was too complex with legal and compliancy things. That's why I came up with the whole legal company. That's how I rolled into HoloLex. And then last year we did the Seam Ventures with Watersport Piershaven, which we started together. And I have some other participations in other companies, but that are like really mine operationally, but more like I help them.
Okay, so you learn by doing that your current company is needed for startups to help them on a legal base.
That's totally it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and Sander, how was it for you? How did you know that you want to start your own business?
Actually, during my studies, I missed the kind of the practical side of knowledge, and in my opinion, entrepreneurship is a way to actually get theory into practice, and you can learn a lot, but actually by learning by doing, that's actually the thing in entrepreneurship. Which I actually like the most. If I have an idea and you work, you do a kind of workout of like you write it down and the steps you want to take, and you can make them of you can make them happen. And in my opinion, that's an good side on entrepreneurship, and you can make it your own, especially in a team as well, with colleagues. You can work on a plan and you can make it happen more easily than you would work for an employer, and that's still something I really like about the job. Why I start, and actually I started already quite young. And I felt really like that internet would change actually the way we would purchase like our products. And actually 10 years ago, because that was actually the moment when I founded the company, it was online business was not that developed as it is nowadays. And especially like during last year, we have faced, of course, the Corona situation, the COVID-19 crisis. And of course, that actually impacted also the online behavior significantly. If I look back actually 10 years ago, what would like there were the regulations on online purchase on online sales were not that heavy than they are at the moment. So actually a lot has changed during the last 10 years. Also, actually, the way people purchase via what kind of devices. So, but still, I didn't have that first mover advantage. Yeah, like if you check like the first web shops, which actually were founded before actually the millennium, then actually I wasn't that early. So, but I'm still happy now and glad that actually I took the courage back then instead of opening actually online business now, because it's getting away more difficult, and we have now already a lot of knowledge, of course, in the company, and then it's easier to start.
Yeah. And how did you come up with the product to sell? Because I guess a lot of students maybe want to start their own business, but they do not yet have an idea.
Back then actually it was the first iPad was launched, and that was for me actually a fertile ground for entrepreneurship. I felt like, okay, the iPad and the iPad and the second iPhone was launched. Steve Jobs was actually still alive, and actually I thought like, okay, this company can really change also the way we interact, and I already saw that there are many accessories available for these kind of products as well, and people who actually buy Apple, and that's still so, they tend to spend a lot of money, or way more money on accessories than people do when they own a Samsung device. And I thought, okay, I can found actually a company selling just all kind of accessories for that. So actually I started like just quite easy there. Nowadays we sell way more, but that was actually initial step. And also the initial.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Go ahead.
No, I was wondering, you said that you started from your parents' garage.
Yeah.
And how did you, how did your company grow, and how did you arrange financing? And
so actually, in the beginning, actually, we didn't actually do the drop shipping. Nowadays, actually, many people know the drop shipping model. I haven't actually took this strategy into the company. So from the beginning on, we worked with our own stock. So we bought stock and we sold that stock. And if you
did you arrange a financing for that, or did you just
I actually started? No. I started in the beginning just with all money, but like if you start with 500 euros and you make from that 500 euros 1,000 euros, and the return from the profit you take in the company again, and if you do that many times, you can grow a company. And of course, online, if you sell a lot, you can get some tractions. It's not that I didn't get an investment that has taken place in 2016, but that was more because I actually want to. Entrepreneurship is also about it's a kind of profit and loss statements, etc. It's experience and mature, and actually an online business, especially my business, e-commerce business, is also a retail-based business. What do you do with your margins? And there's also a kind of play. I actually got also a lot of knowledge with that investment in the company, because you can be an entrepreneur and just try. And I actually, in the beginning, I did a lot with trial and error. But if you get just some mature entrepreneurs on board and investors, they look with another scale to the company and margin-wise, etc. And that actually formed the company as it is nowadays as well. So a more mature company, let's say it like that. Yeah. But in the beginning, I didn't have, and that was in the beginning also the advantage on e-commerce. It was very easy to start. Also regulation-wise, it was not that strict in the beginning. Also payment-wise. Nowadays, if you want to start, it's a way more difficult actually to even get an online get a license to receive online payments, for example. There are more restrictions on it. But still, it's a way easy actually to start and actually to see if things work. And that's something you can test everything and you can see the traction directly. But now we also sometimes need to take the risk. Like if we produce, like now we are producing like 2 containers of products. Yeah, we need to produce also with minimum other quantities. Yeah, but then you use, of course, also the tools and the knowledge in the market and the demand, what we can forecast with tools. So of course now, after some years, you get some more experience in the company. Yeah, so it's easier.
And you said that you have 6 nationalities working for your company right now. How many people in total are working?
Yeah, we have 18, 19 now at the moment. Yeah.
Okay. And Bas, how was it for you? How did you start your business, and how did you go about your financing? Can you tell us something about that?
I think that's the most interesting part, because Sander is doing something totally different than I am, right? Sander is more like the product business, and I'm totally more into the services business. Yeah. So for my kind of business, like an investment isn't that very needed as it is for Sander's business. So I actually started bluffing my way through all the corporates that I really could help them, and I really wanted to do this, and etc. Until I got my first client, right? And then I started making money and restructuring the money into the company and growing, etc. That's the way the service company works, actually. But the most important part in me, which said, all right, let's go, was that I thought, all right, the risks that I am taking by starting for myself right now are that low that why shouldn't I, right? So if you're still at the university, you probably have just like rented a room somewhere in Tilburg, or not, but rented a room, or you're living with your parents. You don't have a house, you don't have children. Some of you might, but most of the times you don't have a wife or other very, very big expenses in which you really take care
Sorry.
But no, just all of the things that I thought, all right, I don't have that much obligations, financial obligations. I thought, all right, well, if one of the company or the company that I started, if it's nothing and I invest all my money in it, the worst thing that can happen is that I have to cancel my lease on my dorm or my room, and I go live with my parents again, right? So the risk was very low, and I just started. Yeah.
And how did it evolve? Because how many people are working for your company right now? Because you're hiring, so I guess there are more than you.
Yeah. Luckily, yeah. We're now with, as I said, like with 10 people, or 11 even. Yeah, 11, I guess. but not 11 full-time employees.
Okay.
But we're total with a team of 11. And yeah, we've got some vacancies, yeah.
Okay, and I have another question here. What was the biggest challenge you faced while starting your business? Bas, can you tell?
Well, I think the most common thing for starting a business when you're pretty young is that there are always two ways that people look up to you, right, or look at you. One half of the people say, all right, whoa, he's young and very cool what he's doing, all kinds of things. And the other says, oh yeah, sure, yeah, there if you one of those youngsters again who thinks he's being an entrepreneur, thinks he knows more and better than me, and that kind of attitude, right? So you've got a difference in that. And so that was a challenge, of course, in my business doing the services, that people needed to trust me to rely on my expertise in certain ways. That was a big thing. So that's why I said like bluffing was a really big thing starting my first company. And then of course you have the part that you need to make through, or yeah, you have to live up into what you're pretending to do or to can. That was one of the big challenges, and the other, yeah, I don't know actually, like the biggest challenges. Yeah, I think that was one of my most challenging things starting this whole thing. Yeah, of course. Yeah, well, getting a lot of knowledge, like specific knowledge for some things. As I said, starting an investment fund or starting a legal company, HelloLex, having no legal background. I read books like these just for fun right now.
Okay.
Because I don't have to like the legal background, right? But I really want to get into the business and et cetera, et cetera. So that's one of the parts as well.
Did you ever face a challenge there that you didn't know something and you didn't know the answer?
For the legal, for HelloLex?
Yeah. Yeah,
of course. Yeah, but what I did was having no legal background. I had a lawyer for the investment fund, and one of the meetings with that lawyer, I said, "All right, I have got an idea. It's called HelloLex. No, it's just the idea of HelloLex I had back then, and I just pitched it to one of those lawyers, and he's a partner of a law firm in Tilburg." Because I knew that I needed a legal partner in order to start a company like this. So I pitched it to him, and he was actually pretty interested. And that's why I'm co-owner and not the sole owner of Lex. They also invested in HelloLex. And in that way, I've got a strategic partnership with the law firm. And one of their lawyers is working with me, but under contract with them, because as I'm not a lawyer, I can't sign any lawyers. It's a very difficult way in the Netherlands, but that's how the whole structure is being built.
Okay.
So if I can answer something, I now have...
You can ask advice.
Yeah, I now have my own paralegals at the company as well. So
okay,
it's cool.
Okay. And how did you come up with the name HelloLex?
Yeah, well, it might be just a bit of a pity. The only thing is that we want to make the law part of entrepreneurship, we want to make it more accessible for companies and for people. So everything is being aimed at accessibility. So that's why the figure, right, Lex itself, and that's why the name Hello, very accessible, hopefully. And Lex itself is nothing more than law in Latin. Okay.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
Nice. And Sander, how was it for you? What was your biggest challenge?
Yeah, especially in the beginning was the age. I started at the age of 16 years old, and that was actually back then not that common in the Netherlands. That also has changed actually in 10 years time, because actually if you nowadays now it's even easiar. And I actually needed to go to the judge as well, to the local court actually, to get actually it's all called translated emancipation of a minor. So I got handlichting from a Dutch judge. and to actually be totally responsible and for the company as well. So in the beginning, that was, especially if you're very young and you are actually still in high school, it's not the common way to found actually your own company. And I can still remember actually the judge saying like, why Sander? And I was there actually with my parents, so I needed to go there with my parents, and he said actually, why are you going to found your own company and you are not going to actually tune actually your moped and are going to do such a things which normally people do are tended to do actually when they have such an age, around 16 years old. So that was, especially in the beginning, it was also a threshold in a good way. And also, especially my parents, I'm not from an entrepreneurship family. So it was not the way they wanted to go with me, or they saw actually, yeah, you need to study, you need to do actually this. And I actually had that idea of founding a company. So in the beginning, they also were a little bit like, take care, and we are not 100% supporting you here, but actually during half a year, and then actually I got some traction with the company that totally changed. And then actually it was also in my advantage, because companies thought it was interesting what I was doing, and that I was still that young. And actually in the beginning of in the first 2 years, I was still a minor, so that was actually also kind of I got a special business card for it. It was like a kind of, I had a pro over it, and I got some promotion in media as well. So actually that disadvantage in the beginning got an advantage later on. So you can also flip the cards actually there. So I would be very eager also if other maybe students would say, okay, yeah, I'm not sure about the idea. If you think you are other people think, oh no, that's not a good idea, sometimes that's also can be a sign, like maybe it can be a good idea. So
don't let age hold you back.
Indeed, yeah, age, but also actually an idea about I don't know, a business idea, or where other people would say, okay, I totally cannot get it. If you are convinced of it, try it. And actually, especially founding a business here in the Netherlands, and I think that's one of the advantages here in the Netherlands. It's so easy, especially if you just have the simple entity, which is the eenmanszaak, just the sole proprietorship here in the Netherlands. It's so easy to found. And if it doesn't work, it won't cost you a lot of money, So have a go. That would be really my advice if you want to test something, because it's, especially in the beginning, it's constantly a phase of trial and error. But if you fail, you can learn, or you will. I always say you cannot fail. If you fail, you will learn. But or you will win, or you will learn. But you always so it will also improve. It will always improve you can always improve yourself with it.
And I guess your parents are very proud of you right now.
I hope so. No, I think so as well. But that has changed. They retired as well, and it's now but actually I also needed to say that actually in the beginning I also didn't thought I would do this after 10 years. I would be still in this business. I thought, okay, in the beginning, okay, just have a go. And it was not the initial idea to be still in the company. And then I thought, okay, it's nice doing the studies and we can check it. But of course, nobody can predict how things work out. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, Sander. Maybe it's good that we ask a question related to the subject of project management. To what extent did you apply project management within your organization? Sander, maybe you can start.
Okay, project management. Now, of course, nowadays we are an online company, so we actually everything we do is online, and there we also use the tools such as and software tools such as co-working software such as Slack or Trello, or all these kind of project management tools, or Asana, which is more where you can do a step-by-step which is a step-by-step management tool where you can check out where are we working on, are we on track, are we behind, are we ahead, all these kind of tools. I think that's also the advantage on working online, and you can actually also work wherever you want. So actually Bas and me worked from Curacao 3 weeks ago as well for 2 weeks. Yeah, it doesn't matter where you work. You can work actually wherever you want, and especially when everything is in the cloud. You can work on the projects. Does that answer the question, or do you want to be?
Yeah, I also had the question: which tools and research sources do you use? But I'm especially curious: how do you, because you have 18 employees, how do you work with them on a certain project? Because you use the tools, but how does it work in practice?
So
in real life.
Of course, we can track or work in the tools, but not everyone is working on a kind of we also have people who are just engaged in the sales process. So they do their sales every day, and I can track. For example, we have KPIs. We have business intelligence software, such as everybody would know Power BI from Microsoft, but we use ClickSense, which is a Swedish tool, and we can actually visualize our data and our KPIs every day. So every day I can start at the beginning of the day. I check the dashboard. So what were our sales yesterday? What were our actually logistics costs, etc. So we can track these KPIs. So, and when something goes wrong, I normally also can actually see what's going wrong and we can directly improve this. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Bas, how is that for you? How do you apply project management in your work?
Yeah. I also saw a question from Marie-Lot, if I pronounce it correctly, having the question that if we can state some names of the tools that we're using. But I think most of it is the same as Sander. We're using Monday.com, the company from the irritating ads on YouTube, to make sure that everyone's working on name it tasks or whatsoever. And our business focuses on if a client comes and he wants a certain contract, for instance, that they fill out an online form with the input that we need in order to process it into the contract. And all of that input is being assessed and being handled by one of our paralegals. So every step in that process, we state it into the portal for the client, but we also state it in our back end and that we use Monday.com and Trello to make sure that all the projects are being managed by all of the teams. Because it's very difficult for you, especially if you need to manage a team, if you don't have a clear overview on who's working on what and where everybody's at, for instance. And of course, like Sander and I spoke yesterday evening about the topic about project management, right? And we said, all right, I think everything that we're doing every day is like a small project on itself. So we've got a company, of course, but everything that we're working on are different projects. So we've got a project for my company. We've got a project podcast. We started with a podcast 4 weeks or 5 weeks ago. We are starting or we're working on the new website, right? On making sure that the conversion rates are being optimized. So we've got a project on making new contracts for clients. We've got a project on developing contract. Well, you name it. I can continue easily, but so everything that we're doing in a company is actually a project. So having said that, I think it's a very, very big importance in order to be good at it, to manage all of those projects.
Okay. Well, I see that Greg, I don't know if I pronounce his name correct, Grigory has a question for you as well, Bas. Maybe, Grigory, you can unmute yourself and ask it directly. Are you still here? I don't know if I pronounce it correct.
I can hear you, Grigory. Yeah.
Hi, I am. first year student of a global law program, and my question is related to you, Mr. Bas. Is it possible to write you an email for applying for internship or work in your law firm in the future? And
always.
Can I have any contacts, like email address or something like that?
Yeah, I'll put the our email address in the chat right now. You can always email us, and we'll definitely get in touch if we've got a vacancy right now for your expertise. I don't know, but maybe if it's not now, then maybe in the future or whatsoever. We also are working, because HoloLex is now operational in the Netherlands, and we're now looking into developing in other countries as well. So as I said, HoloLex in Dutch, but we're also looking into ciaulex.it and bonjourlex.fr. So we're expanding. Nice. We're expanding to other countries as well. So always a possibility.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see what other question I received. There's also a question from a student who was wondering, how did you overcome uncertainty? I can imagine that when starting a business, you have some uncertainties, but yeah, how do you overcome that? Bas, maybe you can elaborate?
Well, not only by starting. I think every day or every week you have kind of some of those moments in which you don't think, oh, what am I doing right now? Or will it be okay? Or how is it going to work out or whatsoever? So those uncertainties is something that's just like, I don't know the English word, onlosmakelijk, attached to the whole entrepreneurial field. But I think the best way, and I think that's part of the friendship that Sander and I have, for instance, is that we can always talk to each other about certain similarities in uncertainties, or some things that, of course, Sander knows my business and I know Sander's business. So we just talk to each other on having some things or bad things or things that we don't know, for instance, with employees. That might also be something like, if there's something I don't know, or how should I approach this kind of thing or conflict or whatsoever, I can always go to Sander and vice versa. So I think talking to like not only like-minded but also people that are doing the same kind of things, it really helps. I don't know. Okay. Don't know if you have any other tips, Sander, but
I think that I'm on the same page. Starting, and especially like there is no threshold actually anymore here in the Netherlands. Like to start and to get started, it's in my opinion, the government has made it quite easy, also for international people, to found here a company in the Netherlands. And I think, especially if I've seen it quite a lot from the world, and if I see the differences between other countries, even in the EU, because I have a company in Germany as well, there's a way more regulation on founding a company in Germany than there is here in the Netherlands. And it's not like that they don't take care or they are not strict or so, but it's just a very efficient and easy system. And as said as well, it doesn't cost you a fortune to actually get started. Also, just start with a minimal viable product. It's MVP. I think this term has been discussed in maybe some of the lectures. I'm not sure of, but it's just start with a kind of product you can easily produce, or a service which is you start with a service which you can test, and if you get traction and if you get customers for it, then you're gonna develop more the product. So make it a kind of project, and if it works, you continue, and if it doesn't work, you discontinue the business. That would just be an advice.
Okay. Another question, why did you settle in the incubator, and what has it brought you? Because you're both there, so what was your consideration to settle there? Sander?
Okay. Yeah, I can start. Actually, we actually cooperate with the other some of the other entrepreneurs here in the incubator as well. We were actually settled in the city center as well, but we actually came back in a new incubator because they actually moved the incubator and they got some more rooms here as well. I need to say we are actually, we are lucky actually with the fact that many people work now from home as well. So we actually don't have that much space anymore here, but luckily also the building is quite empty at the moment. So, but of course, many people work from home. Actually, the advantage here at the incubator is that you can cooperate, but also you can discuss an idea or whatever. So I work with developers as well here who is engaged in in the incubator as well. So there is also a spin-off between actually the entrepreneurs. Bas and me actually founded the company as well because we actually know each other via the incubator or even the ABC, the Academic Business Club, which is the Society for Entrepreneurial Students. So there's spin-off between the companies and entrepreneurs in the incubator. I think that's a nice thing as well. Yeah, and that's an advantage of the incubator here. Yeah.
Okay, and are you planning to stay there for the coming years?
It depends. It depends actually. Like if there, it depends also actually on the space here in the incubator, but there will be a certain time that we cannot stay here any longer, and then we need to move. And it's also not the only office we have here. So there's also, but actually the knowledge jobs are actually here in the incubator because we also have a warehouse as well, and of course that's a way bigger building.
Yeah. Okay, and Bas, how is that for you?
Well, I think actually the same, right? Because what's iconic right now has always been Starters Lift, right, for the last couple of years. That was my first connection with the whole incubator, as it was back then. And as Sander said, we're collaborating with some of those companies. We're actually very working together with the incubator and with Iconic as well on student entrepreneurship and doing more of workshops, for instance, and making sure that everything's being arranged as well. So that's very nice. And on the whole spacing thing, just as Sander mentioned, luckily some people are working from home right now. So we've got, we can work with a lot of people where we're working in shifts right now. So every day at a maximum of 4 or 5 people are at the office and the other ones are working from home or other locations. But that's what we can manage right now on a maximum within the whole regulations.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully, of course, there is a certain moment in which you think, all right, we're growing out of our jacket.
Dutch expression.
Exactly. Yeah. No, but being here, and that's a big advantage as well, because all of the entry ways to the building are very good. So with public transport, the train station, right, is like, I think not even a 5-minute walk. Bus stops are right around the corner. You've got a parking garage underneath. So all of the entryways or entry roads towards are very easy to be. And that's
okay. So it's a nice place to start a business.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Bas, a question, for both of you, but let's start with Bas. What is your dot on the horizon? Maybe the horizon is still a bit far away, but where do you want to be in like 5 years?
Well, hopefully, we're currently working on our first expansion abroad with Lex. Hopefully, within 5 years, we expanded to more countries than one. Like we're on a mission, as I always say it, to make sure that people, and we're actually kicking towards the whole way people look at the whole law firm thing in the Netherlands, that people tend to just lay back until someone gets into trouble and then fix it. That's the whole lawyer aspect of doing things. And we're trying to focus ourselves more on the prevention side. So we're working together with companies in order to make them legally healthy. Legally healthy, and not to resolve mostly and mainly all of the problems. So kind of the mission on making sure that the whole law aspect in the Netherlands or worldwide hopefully is being changed.
Okay, and you said that you want to expand your company abroad. What is your first country where you're aiming at?
Well, Sander already mentioned it. We were in Curaçao a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, great.
And hopefully this summer I'm flying back towards Curaçao. So it's a necessity, right? So you can travel for necessities.
Yeah.
For sole business opportunities. No, we're trying, and that's actually funny. Starting for ourselves as a legal company, starting in Curaçao is easier than starting in Germany, for instance.
Okay.
Because the law in Curaçao is like for 98% the same as in the Netherlands. And one of our assets, of course, is the legal advice and the legal documents. And if I start in Curaçao, the only thing we need is like an office space, people to work there, and a website in Papiaments. No, but just the website itself and having the network, etc., etc. But the assets, like the documents and the knowledge for legal advice, is actually the same. So the boundaries of starting over there is actually pretty low.
Okay, so that's the first country you want to expand to.
Fingers crossed, yeah.
And why do you say fingers crossed? What could be what could go wrong?
Entering a different market, there's always a thing in which people say don't expand too quickly, right? So just make sure that you're covered enough over here and make sure that the basis is okay, and then look into expanding. But the moment to like it's very difficult to pinch that moment when you're ready enough or something, right? So and entering a market, that's a question Sander can very easily or better answer. Entering a new market is not only about starting it in a new company, or a new country, so starting a company over there and making a new website or whatsoever, but it's also the market works different in every country. So you've got different ways of doing sales, for instance. You've got different ways of collaborating between companies. All of those like more societal ways of interacting. That's of course a challenge. And I think that's the biggest challenge about launching in another country. And from my point, launching Curaçao for now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully you will be successful.
I hope so too. Yeah.
Yeah. And the weather will also be helpful if you visit the country.
It can be worse, I guess. Yeah.
Yes. And Sander, what is your dot on the horizon? What are your plans for the future?
I've always said actually in 10 years I would, actually 10 years ago I already would thought that I would leave the company. That hasn't happened. As long as it's interesting actually, and it bothers me actually what I'm doing, and if I can make the difference, then I wouldn't change actually. So like for example, sometimes people, hey, when are you leaving the company, or when can I sell it? Actually some 2 years ago, I already thought like, 3 years ago, okay, when I would reach that kind of revenue, that amount of revenue, I would sell it, or I would leave the company towards someone else and then just keep as a shareholder in the company. But that, sometimes, especially last year, we also reinvented the company again. We're starting a brand as well. We are using the company as a platform to actually launch other brands. What's the step on the horizon? Difficult to say actually, because actually we are also not, the company is changing every year. And actually 2 years, 3 years ago, I would have said like, okay, I want to be in more countries. I want to cover, for example, all European countries, and to have even local offices. Where I think now, where people can actually work remotely, do I need an additional, we have office in Germany, but do we need to have a physical office in Berlin, for example? Because I have a colleague, I haven't seen her for 1 year so far, and she's working from Jena, for example, a town in Germany. So actually, I'm not entirely sure what's that step on the horizon. Of course, we want to grow. We want to make impact. I want to, of course, grow in customers and countries. But what exactly the step on the horizon is that we now also, we grow way more than we would expect in Germany. So actually now we are, actually a new expansion, for example, in Italy, it's not the key priority at the moment. So we prioritize also other tasks in the company over actually expanding. So to be exactly, especially 5 years, actually in the video, it was already actually said as well among the alumni, in 5 years, you don't need to have a 5 years plan. Especially also when you're a student, also in 5 years, do I still need to work for this company where I'm commencing to work now? Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think the biggest thing, as Sander already mentioned, is like certainly nowadays, like every week things change. So, and that's within a company as well. So everything can change within days, right? With positive or negative, and you have to change and be resilient in order to get going or keep going. Yeah.
And very adaptive as well. And we have a yearly budget, and actually I have 2 investors in the company as well, and they are really like looking in a 2 years, 3 years plan. But then I'm always saying, you can make that plan, but nobody forecasted actually the Corona and the COVID-19 crisis, and that actually totally changed actually your company last year as well. Mm-hmm. And actually for us then on in a positive way, because everybody was buying, of course, products online. Yeah. But who could forecast that, and could forecast that you would sell a thermometer, for example, for twice or 3 times the price that you could sell it for last like January 2020? You know, and then actually you can take advantage of supply and demand. Yeah. It's the same now, actually, container shipments. I bought actually 2 containers, or I arranged 2 containers yesterday or the day before. The container price from Shanghai to Rotterdam is now around $10,000. That's the same container costed actually $2,000 1.5 years ago. You know, the world is changing, and that's just it's impacting the business. And I think startups, and especially smaller companies, can be way more adaptive than more conservative companies. But you see it now also in the EYs, the big companies, they say, we want to be very adaptive, agile working, all these kind of terms. We need to be as flexible as possible, because otherwise we are not going to survive now.
Okay, so you're both actually saying, as long as it's interesting and I still see challenges within my own company, I will keep doing what I'm doing, but I don't have a really future planned out. I just see what's coming.
You have some milestones, and this year as well, we want to reach a kind of revenue threshold. We have a kind of budget. Of course, we have these kind of milestones, but these are kind of the bigger points on the picture. But there's no, when I've reached that kind of, that's this, not exactly, because I have learned actually in the last years that actually this step on the horizons actually change also during your journey, and actually you are not satisfied. And it's the same maybe with income as well. Like, you want to improve it's a kind of eager behavior you have. You want to challenge yourself constantly. Yeah.
I think it's the most, like, intrinsic motivation is the most important thing about like being an entrepreneur, and finding that intrinsic motivation for everything that you do. That's the only thing that you are keeping, that keeps you going, for instance. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe some students have other questions. Please put them in the chat or raise your hand, because I think I almost been through all the questions I received beforehand. I see a hand of Kjeld. Unmute yourself, Kjeld, and ask the question.
Yes, thank you. I think this is more especially to Bas, but if for the other one who wants to tell something as well. But I was curious, because you are expanding, I think, quite quickly to other countries. Why not branding your brand in the Netherlands more? So building more awareness first, because I didn't know about your company, both of you. So why not building more awareness first in the Netherlands and then just going abroad?
Well, that's what I said earlier, right? So the point of making the step towards other countries is very difficult. That's as well when Sander started expanding to other countries. Not all of the 70 million people in the Netherlands knew SB Supply, right? So you're never going to cover everything. So the point taken into, all right, this is the moment that I'm expanding abroad, that's very difficult to pinpoint. But there's a certain moment in which you think, all right, I want to scale, right, the business. Like starting a business and scaling a business are two complete different things. And scaling the business can be done in different ways, right? Yeah. So that's one of the things is covering more of the company or the country you're currently in, for my point of view, or maybe expanding to other companies in order to make sure the market cap or market part is there as well.
But do you look then, for example, at your growing rate, and then when it heals a little bit, that it like stagnating a little bit, that you say, okay, that's why I want to go somewhere else?
Yeah, well, I don't think it's very. As I said, there are a lot of factors and things that keep you for making that certain pinpoint. But it's not only or just because I look at the figures and I say, all right, well, this is the moment that I need to expand abroad, or this is happening right now, so this is the moment that I need to expand. There are all kinds of things in which you say, all right, maybe this is the moment to go abroad, and that are all working together. And of course, as I said, unfortunately, not every entrepreneur in the Netherlands. So I think in total are 1.8 million people or something, because there are 1.2 million freelancers in the Netherlands. Unfortunately, not all of those 1.2 million know HelloLex. They should, but they don't. But getting that market cap is, of course, like a job that's very, very difficult. I mean, I think you'll never get. Yeah, well, as I said, this is just one of the options that I have for scaling up the business. Yeah.
Hey, is it an answer to your question, Kjeld?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I just still a bit curious because of course in the Netherlands you have a lot of MKB'ers, so small to medium companies. So for HelloLex, I mean that's your target group then? No. We're totally focusing on the freelancers and the startups. Okay. Then I didn't say anything. But
sorry, yeah, ask your question, Kjeld.
No, that's it.
Okay. Other questions from students? Ankit? I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I have a question to both of you, actually. Like, how hard did you find it when you were initially starting with your companies to like set up a network or get in projects?
Sander, maybe first.
Yeah, what do you may I ask you, like what do you mean with like networks, like a kind of business networks or like other entrepreneurs, or what do you mean with network?
Network basically for like setting up. Let's say you want to get in projects to work on, so someone to give you a project or a task to do.
Okay. So if you, for example, have a kind of service, let's say that you want to be a designer or so and get your clients, or
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Of course, it depends on the business you are. Like, do you sell products or services? Of course, Google can be your close, a good friend of you, but it's difficult as well. Actually, to get a high position in Google, it has been actually become a super difficult job nowadays. But people, you can actually also check if people even need the product. If you check actually these tools of Google, for example, the Keyword Planner, which is a tool we normally use quite often, like actually can Keyword Planner or Google Trends, where you can actually see trends, also search behavior. And for example, when people are, when something has been announced on the television, you normally see that people will Google around these kind of subjects as well. And of course, if you have an ID and you can actually, which is interesting for these search results, you can already start with a kind of minimal viable product. Network can be as well, like that there are sites where you can be as you can subscribe as a designer. Are you like, for example, or groups in Facebook? For example, young creators, I know like here, which is quite big in the Netherlands with young people who build websites, etc. So there are many ways. I think, there are also local, of course, business networks here in Tilburg. You have the business network of the soccer club. You have the academic business club, where there are more young entrepreneurship-minded people. And then you can actually gather together and work on the projects. Yeah, it really depends, I think, on the business you are in and what you want to achieve. And do you have other networks, Bas?
No, well, I think that you're growing into the network as you go with the company. So there are a lot of business clubs here in Tilburg and surroundings, nationwide as well. But I think it started for me at the Academic Business Club, getting to know student entrepreneurs. And I started with LinkedIn when I was 14 years old. So I started like linking people on my network at a pretty young age. And I've never been someone of quantity, right? But more of quality. So all of the people that I have on LinkedIn, I probably know one of them or know them or know what they're doing or whatsoever, or talk to them or whatsoever. So in that way, your network can pretty easily and pretty quick grow with the most interesting people. Yeah. So I think we're talking about network in Tilburg, right, and surroundings, but I think the online networking as LinkedIn is very interesting as well.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, that answers my question.
And feel free for all of you, as I stated, LinkedIn, to link or Sander or me. Talking for Sander as well, but I think he's fine with that.
Yeah, and I think like now at the moment, like how's it called, the new app? Actually, Bas, you are using it more than me with these podcasts and how's it called? Yeah,
Clubhouse.
The Clubhouse, for example. That's really like a thing. I think it's already like. That was such a hit, of it has been a hit since 2 months, I think now. Like it's really like, especially like these kind of phases, I need to say, and especially like nowadays, sometimes you even have sometimes an app. Everybody is on that app for 2-3 months, for example, and then everybody is leaving it as well.
You never hear about it again. No.
Yeah, and but I think Clubhouse, especially also, I've heard great stories from you as well, and also from other people who are in a kind of like, then we are discussing business plans or etc. So yeah,
I invested in a company through Clubhouse. I got to know them through Clubhouse. So yeah.
Okay, that's a good tip. Any other questions from students? No more questions. Sorry, Kjeld.
I have one for Sander as well, because you are doing accessories for mobile phones and gaming and things like that. This business is fierce from competitors, so I was.
Yeah, it is.
I'm curious, what is your competitive advantage, and how do you compete with these bigger companies? Like, why should I go for you instead of like MediaMarkt to get an accessory for mobile? Mobile.
Yeah, now it's of course the easiest question now as well. MediaMarkt is closed till next Wednesday without an appointment. But of course, the easy way, we also had already quite some business like a year ago. So we have some products, and that's of course, if you are not familiar, I think many people, and that's also a disadvantage on e-commerce. If you do not shop with a big loyal or a big online retail chain, such as bol.com here in the Netherlands, or an Amazon, or an H&M, or an Zalando, I think everybody knows these companies. However, many people do not the companies who actually even deliver you, because if you order via these platforms, or because many of these bigger players are platforms nowadays, it's just a marketplace. And we actually deliver the product via bol.com. So probably even we actually had some site labels or actually some platform shops also on these platforms. So we could even have delivered you, and you even wouldn't know about it. If you actually Google some brands, and especially via Google, and we have some exclusive rights on certain brands. Then you will see us. And of course, it's fierce competition on the bigger brands. We do Apple as well, Apple accessories. Then, but and Belkin and some other bigger brands we have. Of course, there's a fierce competition, but we actually want to. How to say it in a correct way? We want to make the difference in actually brands that are not well represented here in the Benelux region. Or sometimes we are the first one who are bringing actually new stuff into the Benelux market. So actually, I went to the CES. Normally, I went to the Consumer Electronics Show in, for example, Las Vegas. And all new gadgets are released there. And sometimes we actually bring some gadgets and introduce them here in the market before someone else is even selling them. So that's actually, it's there we have a competitive advantage. But I need to say, of course, when I need to compete with MediaMarkt or with the bigger players, and they are all having the same product, then it's also actually a competition on price, which is just difficult.
No.
Does that answer your question? And furthermore, of course, we have a B2B channel as well. We supply schools, etc. So it's more than only the consumers we deliver directly. That's actually which makes our different.
Yeah, thank you.
Good question, Kjeld. Other questions? If not, then maybe last question to Sander and Bas. If you could give one advice or tip to the students, what would it be?
Just go for it. Start.
Go for it.
Yeah, well, I would really, if there are one of you guys thinking about a business idea or a concept or whatever, doing something for yourself. First of all, go talk to other entrepreneurs. Talk to them about starting the company, all of the challenges, things that you're worried about or whatever. Make a plan and build an MVP and just start. I think the best time is now is a common phrase, right? But that's totally it.
Okay, thank you, Bas. Sander, do you have something you want to add?
I'm completely on the same page, but actually also don't share your ideas. Don't think you need to keep your cards or you need to you cannot disclose the information because sometimes the people I meet, they have an idea, but they don't want to disclose any information because they think it's secret. Somebody can steal the idea. But the thing is actually, many ideas will keep an idea because people having an idea and starting a business is something completely different. So also share and discuss your ideas with others. And sometimes you can even find good co-founders with it as well, or you just get some inspiration from other people as well. So disclose also some information, of course, if there's something really specific or like where you can have a competitive advantage or where competition is fierce, just take care. However, also sharing information can help you a lot because doing everything on yourself it's really hard and it's difficult and sometimes also can be a failure.
Yeah, I think last thing to top on that is just ask. A lot of people are afraid to ask certain things from people, especially maybe from entrepreneurs. But I think every entrepreneur is very eager to help others as well. So for instance, if someone's asked me, all right, can I join you once to that network or that event or whatsoever, and there's a possibility, of course, that's something that we could discuss, right? And just feel free to ask anything to anyone. I think that's a very important thing as well.
Well, that are great tips, I think, and very useful. So thank you very much. Well, we're at the end of this session. So first of all, I would like to thank, of course, Sander and Bas for sharing their knowledge and experience and enthusiasm. So I at least thought it was very inspiring and useful. So hopefully the students think the same. Thanks so much. And to the students, I would like to ask if you could fill in the survey with the QR code you see on the slide, because it gives us some feedback for future alumni events, so we can improve or optimize them. And it will only take a few minutes, so it would be great if you could fill it in. And that brings us to the end of this session. I would like to thank everybody for attending this event. I hope it was very valuable for you all and you got some useful tips. And thank you and have a nice evening.
Thanks for
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.